Hi everybody, and welcome to the Ciao Enchanted Land mini album tutorial series designed for Scrap and Create. All of the products that I am using here that are from the Scrap and Create website are listed in the description box below, so you can just click on those links and follow along in the tutorial. In today's tutorial, we're going to begin decorating page 4. So to start, I have my 8x8 paper that looks like this. And what I did was make this 5 3/4 by 8 inches first. Then I cut this to 6 3/4. Then I cut this to 3 3/8. Now I'm going to actually adhere this one down to the front of my flap, making sure that it's pretty close to this center line. I'm not going to adhere this one down yet. I'm going to place it here. And then I'm going to take my chipboard butterfly. This is going to be my closure piece. And I've already marked mine. I've pierced my hole. I put this on the page, made sure that it's overlapping, and pierced my hole here. And it's pierced down through my paper. I'm going to adhere both of these pieces down, and then we'll come back and add the next pieces. By the time you are seeing this, I will have put some text on the screen to stop you from putting this little swing tab here. I just realized that the swing tab will not help me on this page. So you can still put this piece on here. I'm going to leave mine on here. It'll be perfectly fine, but it's not going to hold my tabs closed at all because they aren't overlapping each other. So I'm going to have to add magnets to my flaps, and I'm going to have to put one on each of my flaps. You could put a swing tab down here. So if I had put the piece here, it would have caught both of these and been fine. So you can put your swing tab there if you don't want to use magnets. You could also put ribbon, and you could put ribbon underneath these papers and tie them here in the center. I don't like that idea because it would go through her. You could put one ribbon out here and the other one here and tie it off to the side. Would be fine, or you can just use magnets. So I'm going to open up and put my magnets in. Because of this pocket, I need to make sure that I put my magnet up here pretty far. That way whatever I put in my pocket doesn't impede my magnet. If you put a second pocket over here, you want to be really careful about where you put your magnet to, and we're going to have to be careful about how big of a tag we put in here. So I have 4 magnets that I'm going to use on this page. I try not to use that many magnets on a page, but unfortunately, that's what's happening on this one. So I'm going to place my magnet here, and this is about 3/4 of an inch down from the edge to the center. And then I'm going to put my second magnet here, about the same. It's kind of towards the center here and kind of towards the center here. I'm going to add a second magnet to both of these. If you are using the basic gray magnets that have adhesive on them already, you don't need to do this. You can just close your flaps and they will adhere themselves. But I'm going to close my flaps and peel this magnet off and place it here. Same thing with this one. This just allows me to mark where it needs to be on the flap. So now that I know where my magnets need to go, I'm going to go ahead and work on covering these pieces. From this 12 by 12, I first cut the strip to 3 1/4 inch. I'm going to use this on the back side. I've then cut these to 5 3/4 inch, so I have 2 of them. Then I've cut this to 6 3/4 by 5 3/4. This piece I'm going to place here in the center, and then these ones I'm going to place here on each of these flaps, covering all of my magnets. Then I'll come back in and place some pieces here and here. From this 8 by 8 paper, I cut a strip off of the bottom to measure 2 1/4 inches. Then I've trimmed them to 6 3/4 inch, and then I cut off a 1 inch piece. It's actually just slightly less than 1 inch. And I'm going to place it here at the bottom. Then I've got the larger piece that I'm going to place here at the top, and then I'm going to turn this large flap into a pocket. Now that I have those pieces on, I'm going to fold this down, and then I'm just going to add a thin line of adhesive right along each of my sides. Then I'll fold this up and adhere it closed. I had originally planned to have that be a fold down flap, but I didn't like the way that it folded down with these other flaps that open. So I think having it be a pocket is a better option. So I can go ahead and close this for now, and then I have my pocket here that we'll go ahead and put some cut aparts in there, and we're going to cover our pocket and place some cut aparts here. For the front of the pocket, I've cut this from the A4 sheet, and it's about 2 3/4 by, I believe, 3 1/4. Yep. And I just cut it slightly smaller than it was this direction so it would fit on the front. So I'm going to place this here. Then on the back side, I've cut 2 pieces from this purple paper that we used on the cover. I had a little scrap piece left. I've cut 2 strips that are 1 inches by 2 3/4. I'm going to place those on each of the sides here. And then I have this little cut apart from the A4 paper, and I'm going to just place this here on the center to cover the back. Then I did cut one of the larger cards. This is from the 12 by 12 paper, and I just stuck this in the pocket back here. For the pocket here, I've cut several different little tags, but I think I'm going to use this one and this one and add those to my pocket. Now you can add more, but it's going to cause this to build up. The magnet can still catch, but it might cause the page to come out a little bit at the bottom because there's going to be more bulk. So you can add more if you choose to do so. So here's the back of my pocket. My 2 little cards are in there in the front, and like I expected, it doesn't close. Well, the magnet does catch, which is good, but it doesn't close all the way flat. So might be able to bend it down a little bit, but there's not going to be a whole lot I can do about that. At least it still catches. I mean, that would be the main issue if it didn't catch, but I think it'll be okay. Next, I'm going to move on to decorate the back side of the page. I have 2 pieces of my ribbon that I've cut to about 8 1/2 inches. Again, if you want a longer bow, make sure that you cut your ribbon a little bit longer. But I am going to keep mine a little bit shorter just because that's the way I like it. And also for this one, because of where it's going to be on the page, I don't want it to be too large and too bulky. So I'm going to add my adhesive here to this front flap first and place my ribbon down on it. Then I'm going to open that flap and place, I need to open all of these flaps. It's going to go on the base of the page, not on that flap over here. So I need to remark this in the center and place my adhesive on the base of this page. So then this ribbon will go here. So it will actually tie the whole entire page closed with these and this. Make sure everything is lined up okay. For this piece here, this is 4 3/4 by 3 3/4. It's from the 12 by 12 paper. I'm going to adhere this one here to the front. And then I have this little tiny piece. This was a leftover portion of this like white wood grain paper. And this is 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. I'm going to place this here and make sure that it's right up against where this first card actually is adhered to the page. So then it has that nice uniform border. Then I've taken this from my 12 by 12 paper. I fussy cut with just a very small white border around it. And I'm going to adhere this here to the front of the card in the center. So there's going to be a little hanging off the top and a little bit hanging off of the bottom. Now I'm going to open this flap up and work on here. So I've got another one of those pieces of that 12 by 12 green paper. It measures 4 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I'm going to place this here. I have another one of those white wood papers, 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, and I'm going to place this here. Then from my A4 papers, I have this one cut, and I'm going to place this here just slightly over this edge. You can also just place this here in the center if you prefer this look. Then I have this piece that I've cut from the A4 paper, and I'm going to adhere it down here, and I'm only going to adhere the left side so that the photo, if it's larger, will slide up underneath of that. From this 12 by 12 paper, I have cut a row to 4 1/4, and then a second row to 4 1/4. Then I've cut the bottom to 5 3/4 and the top to 6 1/4. I'm going to set the 5 3/4 inch pieces aside for now. We're going to focus on the two 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 pieces. I'm going to place this one up here on the top corner because I like this flower and I want to be able to see that. Then I'm going to place this one here on the front of this flap. Once I have these on, I'm going to open up my flaps. I'm going to take my final two pieces, the one that has the flower on it, I'm going to place here. And then I've taken another piece of that green poppy paper. I've cut two strips to 4 1/4, and these are 5/8 of an inch wide. So I'm going to place this like this on my flap here. And then on the upper flap, I'm going to place the larger paper at the bottom and then my green strip at the top. For the center of the page, I'm going to use this 8 by 8, so I just cut it right down the white part of the frame on that side. Then I cut this to 6 3/4 inches. So I'm going to adhere this right on the base of the page, covering the end of my ribbon. I have cut these two pieces from the papers, and I'm going to start with this one. I'm just going to adhere the corner or this bottom section down here to the bottom of this photo mat or this flap so that a photo can slide behind it. But it gives just a little bit of extra decoration on this flap. And then on this piece, I'm going to place it up here And I'm going to place my adhesive on the top part and just a thin line down the left side and place it up here. You can leave the adhesive off of the left side if you want to. That way a photo will slide completely under there, but I am going to adhere mine down. So that is everything for this page. I'm going to go ahead and tie this closed, and then we will go ahead and start adding some pearls to this to finish this page up. Starting with the front side, I'm going to add some flowers and pearls. So I've got one of my larger aqua colored flowers I'm going to place down here in the corner, and two of my darker teal color flowers I'm going to put on either side. Then I have some pearls that I'm going to adhere down here and here in the center. I've got two little white pearls that I have on the antenna for the snail. I put one of the little, it looks more like a rhinestone, in the center of the door knocker. I've got two of my larger gold pearls that I'm going to place on the antenna of my butterfly up here. And then I've got some of these larger and smaller sizes throughout here in the centers of my flowers. So I'm going to adhere all of these down and let those dry before I move on to the back side. For the back side, I've got one of my chipboard butterflies. I'm going to put three little tiny pearls down the center. Then I've got several different pearls here throughout on all of these flowers in the center. And I have two larger ones here and here on these flowers. I'm not going to be placing any flowers on this page. If you want to, you can, but I'm just going to leave it with just the pearls. So that's it for this tutorial. All of our pages are finished. There will be one tutorial left where we're going to put all the pages in the album, finish up the inside of the cover, and get everything completed. If you're just joining the tutorial series, don't forget to click on the description box below where you can find all the links for the supplies that you will need to purchase from the Scrap and Crate website or from my Etsy shop to make this album. I'll see you in the next tutorial.